and our guest.
Namaste. I would like to welcome everyone to the webinar hosted by ni-msme on the topic Innovation is the Key for MSMEs Post-Lockdown. I would request all the participants to keep their microphones on mute while a speaker is presenting to avoid unnecessary disturbance. The question and answer will be at the end of the webinar. To ask a question, please send your question along with the name of speaker to the moderator privately on the chat. That would be me. With the unpredictable economic scenario in the country, micro, small, and medium enterprises often struggle to survive. But innovation can provide the key to this sustainable long term growth. MSMEs are recognized by the governments as a significant job creating sector. It is important that these firms improve quality and at the same time focus on optimizing the process through incremental innovations from time to time to be able to compete in the global market. In today's special webinar on innovation, we have invited diverse experts from the industry who will share their perspectives to arrive at a consensus on the way forward for the MSME. So, without any further ado, we invite our first speaker, Mr. K. Vinay Kumar Reddy, founder, Instant Bee Private Limited, who will be joining us from London. Mr. Vinay has been associated with supply chain industry for over 18 years. He has experience building enterprise applications while associated with SAP, a German-based technology company, and holds patents for the contributions he made for the design and development of interfaces across heterogeneous systems. Sir, you may please proceed with your session now. Thank you.
Thanks, Soumya, for the warm introduction. And thanks, MSB, for giving me this opportunity. I hope my screen is visible.
Uh, Not yet, sir.
The presentation of coming on now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can proceed now, sir.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for joining and giving me this opportunity. I'd like to start with a phrase called never let a serious problem go waste. I'm trying to close this window. Just if you can give me a second. Never let a serious problem go waste. The very nature of human ingenuity is to find clever ways of finding and solving problems. In developing nations like India, you instantly learn to bring more value to the product while exploring creative ways to capitalize on limited resources you possess. If necessity is the mother of invention, scarcity is a grandmother of innovation. It is the crisis which sets the same level to the play field for all the businesses and gives us an opportunity to build smarter solutions, which later on bring great benefits to the wider society. Let me tell you a story of Harish Hande, who is from SELCO. He's a great innovator, a social entrepreneur from city of Bengaluru. He studied engineering with an objective to offer affordable engineering and energy solutions such as solar energy solution. But he quickly realized that it is very expensive for people from countryside to afford the upfront cost. A fruit cart vendor told that spending 300 a month is too much, but 10 rupees a day isn't. He quickly realized that poor people earn and spend on a daily basis, usually buying kerosene for 15 rupees a day. So he would have to offer a solution which is similar or a better for the same price or even lower. He then comes with his business model by hiring local community men who are looking for work and helps them get bank loans that are not backed. And then these people would set up shops and charge the batteries from solar energy during the day and rents them on a per night basis to the end user from 10 rupees and upwards. This is how he has reached over 2 lakh households within 3 years. Now, you take what is abundantly available, which is solar energy, to deal with what is scarce, that is affordable lighting for poor people. Now, this is the real innovation and a great business model, which didn't even brought good returns, but also created a lot of employment. Having said that, we all know that we are going through an unprecedented situation, and many of us are spending time and energy concerned about people, problems, challenges, and opportunities that are not under our direct control. Now, let me introduce a framework that can help us gain awareness in a situation such as COVID-19. This framework can help us understand where we can deploy our framework, where we can deploy our time and energy on problem areas that are not under our control and influence, and those are the real concerns. Also, let's explore how we could convert these concerns into factors that convert into great competencies. Now, if you look at the wider problem across India, most of the micro and small enterprises are affected because they adopt a way of bookkeeping practices that are in turn harming their business creditworthiness. Also, further, the unplanned procurement of materials is impacting their operational costs and making the entities financially unviable. And their remote presence is even making them further invisible and stay disconnected from the mainstream supply chain. All this together makes them held in a difficult situation in a scenario like this if they have to access any of the government schemes or other capital benefits. The solution maybe what we have is providing a hybrid enterprise platform, which we have specially designed and developed to enable and empower micro and small enterprises. The applications we build is based on localized and gamified features to digitalize and enable businesses to easily manage their business accounts, irrespective of their literacy background. We further integrate the businesses with credit borrowing agencies, allowing them to access credit borrowing facilities based on financial ranking, and suitable lender matching mechanism. Also, with the help of our decision support tools, we enable our users to take insights and help them take wise decisions to improve their productivity and gain seamless connectivity with the mainstream supply chain. Our product comes in 11 different Indian languages apart from English, making it vernacular and highly intuitive even for a naive user. Now, how can we help? Being an InstaBee, we can be your transformation agent in converting your concerns into influencing factors and further converting the influencing factors into your core competencies. Why InstaBee? We are the first to market offering a hybrid enterprise platform where you can avail all benefits at one place. We provide a highly ease of use application which you can set up in few minutes and generate invoices in few taps. We also further enable the businesses to gain instant access to the marketplace, which will help them to sell and buy the products they are looking for. Also, we enable the businesses to interact with government agencies and submit their GST returns and generate e-way bills, all at one place. One application, many benefits. Where do we stand? Since we understand the core problems of micro and small businesses who often suffer from the purchasing power, we have made our solution easily accessible, making it a democratic solution offering, and thereby enabling most of the small and micro and small businesses to gain access to the mainstream supply chain. Not just that, it would instantly connect all the businesses, irrespective of your location, irrespective of your business, with the platforms which you have never thought about. With this, I would like to end my session, and I'm open for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll take up the questions at the end of the webinar. So all the participants who have any questions, please send me your questions. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Sunil Regula, founder and partner, Hansa Equity Partners. Prior to founding Hansa Equity Partners, Mr. Sunil was an investment director at FSN Capital Partners in the Nordics, €2 billion AUM private equity firm. At FSN Capital, he worked on all aspects of investments like sourcing deals, transactions, portfolio management, and exits. Before joining FSN Capital, Mr. Sunil has experience from Capgemini Consulting, Citigroup, and Standard Chartered Bank. Sir, you may please proceed with the session now. Sunil, sir, your microphone is still on mute.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, thanks. So I'll speak exactly for 10 minutes. And good evening to my distinguished panelists. And thanks to ni-msme and Mr. Sandeep Bhatnagar for inviting me today.
Sorry, sir. Mr. Vishwamdhar Mishra, please keep your microphone on mute at all times or you will be expelled from the meeting. Thank you. Sir, you may proceed. Sorry for the interruption.
Not at all, not at all. So good evening to all the participants from across India. I'll talk for the next 10 minutes about this topic of innovation as an investor. Me and my partner, Mr. Trinath Babu, we work with MSMEs in making innovation work and get tangible results. We, based on our work with MSMEs, have developed an approach for growth using 4 elements that you see here. 1 is strategy, 2 capital, 3 execution, and 4 impact. I think based on our practical insights, I'll keep this talk as practical as possible. And the takeaway from this talk is about 8 practical tips that you can use to implement innovation in your businesses. Of the 3 things, strategy, capital, execution, 3 are obvious. I'll tell you what impact means for us. It means, in addition to profits, we focus on people, we focus on environment, and we focus on good business governance. There are thousands of MSMEs with over 100 million people in India. And if we can invest in and influence even a few MSMEs, we believe we can have a substantial impact in this space. If you look at MSMEs, they constantly need working capital to grow. To support working capital, they're constantly taking debt. And to support debt, they give collateral in the form of land and buildings. The situation today in MSMEs is that there is no sales happening. Debt is difficult to come by, and customers have stopped paying. Real estate is impacted. It's a time of immense struggle for MSMEs. Many of you who are attending this seminar, who are entrepreneurs, management teams in MSMEs, are looking at how you can get support in times like these. Government is doing a lot. Every day there are announcements. Banks like SIDBI are doing a lot. Institutions like ni-msme are doing a lot. And I'm sure our panelists today will tell you more about what these entities are doing. I will tell you a lot about what you as entrepreneurs and managers can do and how we as investors can support you. So if you look at this particular slide, this is the most important takeaway from today's presentation. If there's one thing you should take away, it is that innovation is not just going to give you growth post-crisis, but remember that innovation will also help you survive the crisis. And today, I'll give you some practical insights on how that is possible, how innovation can help you survive, and how it can help you grow. In any crisis, you're forced to rethink.
Sunil sir?
Sorry, yeah, please tell me.
Sir, actually your presentation is not visible properly. Can you try switching it to slideshow?
Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Is it fine now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what happens in a crisis is that you need to rethink your business model and look at what TCS has done. It's one of the largest IT service companies in India, and lockdown was a threat to their business. What did they do? They announced that 80% of their people in the future are going to work from home. That is going to be their standard model. So instead of just focusing on cash flow management and cost cutting, they have actually gone ahead and reinvented their business model in order to get long-term competitive advantage. And that is what I want a lot of you to take away from today, that in addition to managing the crisis, look at opportunities for growth. Now, if you look at this page, you'll see what's the challenge for MSMEs. On one side, you have operations, you have debt, you have cash flows. On the other side, somebody like me is coming and saying, you also have to do innovation. Resources for MSMEs are very limited. And with that, it's very difficult for them to balance these two things. Hopefully, I think from some of the tips that I will give you today, you'll be able to balance these two things. This particular slide illustrates the 4-step process that you can use to actually balance your current crisis management along with managing innovation. I told you in one of the previous slides that we do strategy, capital, execution, and impact, right? All those 4 elements are there somewhere in this 4-step process. Let me quickly take you through each step. Step 1 is about taking some time out for innovation. For most founders and management teams, there is no time to think about innovation. They are in operations mode, they are in cash flow mode, they are in crisis mode. That takes all their time away. So my first practical tip to you, as you can see on this slide, spend 30% of your time on innovation. Rest of your time, you spend time on your operations. Doing that by yourself is very difficult. Take the help of external coaches, business coaches. Then set aside the time for innovation and spend time on it. Once you have the time, start sourcing some innovation ideas. Sort your ideas into short-term, long-term. Sort your ideas also into cost saving and top-line growth, and start prioritizing all of them. And have a proper structure on how you want to manage this crisis. Don't just go ahead and act in a haphazard manner. Have a structured approach even in a crisis. My practical tip number 2 to everyone listening is during a crisis, things change very quickly. You need to spot the changes, you need to spot opportunities. For that, follow your industry leaders on Twitter. Identify the best companies in the world in your industry, connect with them on LinkedIn. You will then get every day, you will get a source of new ideas. What you will see from this source of ideas is that digital will be one of the most dominant innovation themes. Technology is disrupting every sector. You will also see that. The other trend that you will see is sustainability. Anything that is good for not just profits, but for people and environment is another mega trend. Things like organic food. Another example is Tesla cars. Second step in this is once you have created your time, you need to think about capital. All MSMEs are currently busy cutting costs. What we have observed, financial routines and cost controls in most MSMEs are weak. Use this crisis to improve your cost controls and have a systematic approach to even cutting costs. In the last 2 months, me and my partner, during the lockdown period, have implemented a project costing in one of the SMEs very successfully. Practical tip number 3, get a good CFO-like resource. If not permanent, you can just hire them and they will help you a lot with your cost control, cost structuring, etc. Another issue for MSMEs is debt levels. Everyone has very high debt levels. Look for equity as a solution for this. Equity can reduce your debt. It will also give you an opportunity to pursue innovation. But raising equity will take about 3 to 6 months, so be aware of that. But practical tip number 4, there are several sources of professional money, including one of the participants today, which is SIDBI. They do a lot for MSMEs, so see what they are doing. Like SIDBI, there are several other investors. Use the time to understand what equity can do for you. Most MSMEs are unaware of that. Step 3 here in this slide is small innovation. Productivity improvements are a very good source of short-term wins. Focus on short-term wins within productivity. This is also called incremental innovation. What happens, what we have seen in most MSMEs is that there is only one person thinking really in the organization, that is the owner or the CEO. Everyone else is just executing. When we go into companies, what we see is 80% of the best innovation ideas come from salespeople, from organization staff, from customers. In our experience, lean methodology is the easiest and the most effective tool for implementing this culture change. But that takes a few months. So, tip number 5, for quick results, gather your team and get ideas from them on how they can cut costs, improve cash flows, look at low cost product innovation and other ideas. You're sure to get some quick wins here. Practical tip number 6, conduct a quick customer survey. For this, you don't even have to go to an external agency. Start calling your customers, see how their needs are changing, see how you can do low cost innovation. Keep it very simple and ask your customers direct questions. You will be surprised by how much they can help you. Step number 4 actually. Now let's look at second type of innovation where you have a completely different idea from what you are doing right now. What we have seen in most MSMEs is that such ideas are put into execution very quickly. Practical tip number 7, do a thorough pilot test before you burn capital. This is crisis right now. You don't have too much cash. So pilot test your idea thoroughly and only then implement it. My last tip here is that when you are pursuing disruptive ideas which are very different from your current operations, people try to save costs and use the same sales team, use the same operations team, and that seldom works. The most important learning for us has been that when you want to pursue different ideas, pursue them very, very differently. If you are interested in innovation, read this book called Innovator's Dilemma by Professor Clayton Christensen. My last slide is next slide, please. That's it. I think I've exhausted more than 10 minutes now. Thank you all for listening to the speech. I will share this transcript of whatever I have spoken on our website. And on our website, you'll also find several other podcasts that you can listen to. I look forward to your questions in the Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Vinay. Thanks, Sunil. And I appreciate your insightful talk on innovation. And many of the things you've already spoken, it will be an extension to that. I was thinking, when both of you were speaking, I was thinking, what is the basic meaning of innovation for MSMEs, right? So, innovation is something which is an idea or an invention that can be transformed by MSMEs into a good or a service, and that creates a value, or customers are ready to pay for it. So, in simple words, in the tough times, in the current scenario, MSMEs will have to innovate, create something which is really which really creates a value, and something creates a value, and customers come forward to pay for them. So I'll talk about the ways to innovate in my presentation. And even before I start, most of the innovations, when we talk, we just talk about the geniuses, right, of startups, like all the genius in the market, like Google, Amazon, and they all started from a startup. Like they were all, one day they were micro enterprise or a small enterprise like we have in India. So I see a lot of scope there, and that's the reason why there are a lot of private equity investors like Mr. Sunil,
Hansa Equity, they are ready to put a lot of bets on these startups, because they know that even if one of them clicks, they are all everything will be recovered. The whole meeting used to revolve around taking a decision. Used to take a couple of weeks to take just a single decision. Now the times have come. 6 decisions, key decisions, just taken in just 10 days. While Alibaba and has partnered to open up stores which have disinfectant supplies. If you even go for the Chick-fil-A, it's one of American fast food restaurants. It's a very small restaurant chain which have developed a dozen of changes into the drive-through process to maximize both safety and efficiency in the face of skyrocketing demand for the takeout food. So these are the few examples, and if you look at the old examples in way when the long depression and other times is there was always a period of inventions, and you can see the inventors, and even the Edison, starting with the Edison to latest, what we are seeing is the crisis which is triggering everything. So the key point I would like to say here also is it's success usually depends on the new products and services. So, and half of these companies dedicate insufficient resources to support innovation. So, I may be a small enterprise, but my resources to innovation is limited. I always think twice or thrice, and plus there are a lot of bureaucracy. So bureaucracy involved in taking a decision. So in all, what we need is agile management or agile methods, wherein a MSME culture itself changes, where enterprise decisions are taken quickly rather than delaying decisions, etc. So this involves lowering the low priority activities, breaking the typical bureaucratic procedures, and also so this will help to transform a typical MSME to a real life MSMEs. Now I have so if you go to the next slide, so these are the 6 ways to grow innovatively for MSMEs. First is the new process. So either you can have you can sell the same stuff at the higher margins, by reducing that, the Sunil told us, by cutting the cost, delivery costs, and also automating the efficiencies and cutting fat in the supply chain or manufacturing. Or you can go to adding the new experiences. You can go for new features. You can go for new customers, new offerings, and new models. So this is all in all the typical ways wherein you can think in these lines. If you're thinking to get into a new offerings, then your offerings should say something. It should add enhancements to your product, and you should find new needs to solve within existing markets. So so I leave it to MSMEs to take a decision, which mode you need to get into, and depending on your core capabilities. But before you allocate your budgets, so there is a small, I would like to share with all. There's a sample innovation budget allocation model, which I think would be very useful for MSMEs, because it will tell you how much of allocation of resources must be, how the allocation of resources must be done, how much of budget should be devoted to which kind of innovation, right? So let's say if you are focusing on adding new experiences into your product, or you are thinking of new features or new models, then your budget allocation should be around 40 to 60% in that quadrant, depending on your capabilities and the current market sensibilities. Or if you are targeting at the new customers, right, entirely a new set of customers, then your which we usually called it as a fast fail quadrant, your resources should be just limited between 10 to 20% of your budget. So we'll go one by one and see, quickly, because we have limited time. We'll see quickly how each of the quadrants will help you to allocation in your allocation of your budgets. So if we go to the evolutionary quadrant, the easiest goal in the innovation pie is to maintain relevance to your core market through enhancements, right? So it focuses a market on things which you already know. So you have to just products you already know, but only thing is you have to add a new feature into your existing products. So this is perhaps the easiest type of innovation which you do, and this is more likely to succeed than other type of innovations. So instead of just focusing on cutting your costs and just controlling the budgets, you need to give some allocation, at least 40 to 60% of your budgets into this kind of innovation. So, and that is how you will come up with a real value innovation. So this is it. So if we go, I'll give you a few examples. I came across a few MSMEs recently. I was there is a company called Suva Gifts, which was distributing as a gift company. It's a very small MSME. I just recently met. So they were, till recently they were, approaching us for, buying the gifts. Now within a period of 10 to 15 days, they have started offering the COVID protection kits and masks and thermometers and everything. So the quick transformation was amazing. The way they started marketing about it and the way they started approaching is something which I really salute, because this is what the decision making and the quick time around how the gifts will be procured, from where it will be procured, and how it will be delivered to which customers within that fraction of time, because time is limited. And it was able to, I think, convince us about various products. So that's how. And I would also quote the example of SELCO, which Vinay gave, which Harish Hande he gave. He was able to reach 2 lakh households within 3 years. So innovations of this, which focuses primarily on evolutionary quadrant, wherein you have new experiences, new features, or new models, your allocation of the budget should be between 40 to 60% of your budget should be devoted to this segment. Then we have a differentiation quotient. In differentiation quotient, MSMEs develop new offerings, and those offerings are developed before the competition does it, right? Your race is with your competitors, and you are not sure how to deliver those products which you have developed. So the bottom line here is that the MSMEs should assess their competitive assets and categorize them according to their effectiveness. So this primarily depends. So if you study further, then you will need to position your products here into which category, and depending on your competitive assets and presence of various competitors in your market. So I just included a example of